Joining us now from Oakland University is Dr. Mozhgon Rajaee, one of the members of a team appointed by University President Dr. Ora Hirsch-Peskovitz to oversee development of the university's sustainability program. Dr. Rajaee, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, appreciate having you on. A really interesting project that's being undergone here at Oakland University, working on sustainability into the future, not just at the university, but also consulting with Oakland County in your county of origin over there on campus too, to plan for sustainability of the future, especially now, given that there's such great development of industry in Oakland County and really all throughout the state of Michigan. How much more important now is it to really have that plan for looking forward to maintain the certain quality of life and quality of industry that we have in our society and in the Oakland County area in particular for your operation, while also keeping in mind that greater output often leads to greater impact on the environment.
Yeah, it's massive. And it's one of those things where this is not a new problem. You know, these environmental issues, climate change have been a problem for years, for decades. But I think there's this greater realization, like we can do something and we can do something locally, right? Oftentimes we think of these big initiatives, global, national countries acting on these things, but there's actually a lot we can do it in our own kind of backyards and our own communities. And so there's a lot we can do at OU and within the county just to think about, you know, how do we support biodiversity? How do we diversify our energy sources so that way we're not just relying on one thing? If something happens, we're then kind of captured with that. And if that goes down, right, then where do you get your energy from? Your heat in the winter when it's really cold, or air conditioning in the summer. So it is really important and exciting to think about like the work that OU can do, but as well as the work we can collaboratively think about for all of the communities within the county.
And it's really interesting to think about, too, because of the natural resources that are available for energy here in Oakland County, and also because of the different forms of sustainable energy or cleaner energy that have come to the forefront in the last decade or 15, 20 years all across the U.S. and around the world, and how those can be incorporated. And so what are some of those areas of focus that your team over at Oakland University are focusing on in Oakland County as ways to kind of go about organizing those sustainability projects going forward and considering what are those options in the local area and how those can then connect to neighboring areas in partnership?
Yeah, there are a bunch of different areas of sustainability that we can talk about. The kind of big ones that we're focusing on at OU, and I imagine the county is also going to focus on, is one is renewable energy and trying to diversify our energy sources, which I mentioned before. Another thing is biodiversity and thinking about, hey, can we have native plants so that we can support our pollinators? And that's something that gets a lot of attention these days. So that's one thing. Another thing, we also are thinking about kind of workplace wellness and what are the products we use that might expose our workers to chemicals, right? How do we ensure that they are actually safer for the people working on campus? And then we have kind of transportation. How do we think about, this is kind of a dual aspect, which is one is like, what are the vehicles we're using? What fuel do they get? How fuel efficient and energy efficient are they? But the other piece of it is, how do we get around, right? We mostly just think of cars as the way to get around, but there's bicycles, there's scooters, there's buses and trains. There's different forms of transportation that we can all utilize. And I'm from the kind of the public health realm. And so, I encourage those things because it also means people are moving around and being more physically active. So there's usually other benefits than just environmental. And then we have thinking about kind of curricular activities, and this is particular to OU, right? We want to ensure that we are educating people, our students, and I would say the broader community, the public, about why these things have value and currency in our lives, and why we want to implement them in our community. Otherwise, kind of what are we doing? Why? Right? So talking about the rationale behind these things and educating people about the issues that exist so they can critically understand what's going on. And then there's other issues around kind of communications investments and understanding that within the university operations, maintenance, what are the practices we have, how often do we mow the lawn, all those types of things. And then water management, waste is another thing. I almost forgot waste. That's another thing people often think about, right? Think about food and dining, right? You have all of the waste from that as well. And then you just have all the classrooms, recycling, is there composting that's possible? So there's a lot of different things that we are planning on focusing on at the university. And I would say that we're probably going to see somewhat similar, but maybe not exactly the same focuses within the county. And the hope is that we can try to figure out how can we kind of collaborate to be more efficient in all that we're doing. If there are innovative practices that we can use, what are the things we can implement maybe at OU, but also in a community in Oakland County? So whether or not that's Pontiac or that's Troy, wherever it is, thinking about innovatively addressing these types of issues.
We're joined by Dr. Mozhgon Rajaee. She is an assistant professor of public health at Oakland University, joining us on the MegaCast. More information about the sustainability project at oakland.edu, oakland.edu. For more information. And of course, this project was mentioned and spoken about by Oakland County Executive David Coulter in his State of the County address recently. That is on oakgov.com/SOTC, oakgov.com/SOTC. So Dr. Rajaee, you're not the only member of the team that is focused on sustainability projects, really extensive throughout the university in a number of different areas of expertise. Of course, you are in the public health realm, but there's others in engineering and also also other different initiatives and other different programs too. Can you speak about the team that is behind this project that's been appointed by the university president, and how all those different factors, all those different areas of expertise are playing together to put together a plan for sustainability for Oakland University and the greater community in the future?
Right. So the leaders of the sustainability initiative at OU are myself, and I have a background in environmental health within public health, which is all about understanding how people are exposed to pollution and how that impacts their health. So kind of a human-centered, but a lot of that stems from understanding air, water, soil quality, food quality, and things like that, which all depend on environmental sustainability. The other members are Chris Reed, who is the director of the Oakland Center. And so he manages a lot of projects looking at, food waste, other waste within this is the student center on campus, and has been involved with other sustainability initiatives at other universities. And then the third member is Chris Kobus, who is an associate professor in engineering, and he works on renewable energy and kind of building energy efficiency. And what is encouraging to me is I think it's a good group of folks because we all bring our own expertise. I'm not a renewable energy expert, but Chris Kobus has that expertise. And so together, I think we make a great team to be able to think about kind of programmatic activities, health and environment, and then also kind of the practical engineering and logistics of megawatts and other things like that. So that's the core team that's leading the sustainability initiative at OU, but it is thankfully supported by the president, as well as there's another group of folks that are serving in an advisory board throughout the university that will help us try to kind of develop the initiatives as we go throughout the coming years.
We're joined by Dr. Mozhgon Rajaee. She is an assistant professor of public health at Oakland University, one of many members appointed by the Oakland University president, or Hirsch Peskovitz, to oversee the ongoing development of the university's future sustainability plan. And so as you are considering all these factors, as you're putting together plans for maintaining sustainability at Oakland University in particular, but also in the surrounding areas in the community in Oakland County, where does that turn from a plan into action, and what are those next steps after that sustainability plan is drafted and is put forth by the university to then take that into action? Because it's great to have a plan, but if the plan isn't ever enacted, what's the purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've really been doing a lot of planning in the past year or so. We spent the past year about looking at how are we doing? What are the things we've been doing around sustainability? And really the next step is the action piece. And we are hoping at OU in particular to essentially have these different groups that are working, there are different committees working on biodiversity, on renewable energy, on the curriculum and sustainability, on transportation, and have each of those groups start working on what are their goals, short-term, medium, long-term, and then develop proposals of, okay, what do we need to do in the short term to try to start making these changes? And then what are the things we need to lay the groundwork on now, which we're not going to see the impacts maybe immediately, but we will a year from now, and we have to start doing that work now. So that's actually what we're moving into now, is let's start doing the action, because that's what we need, is to actually see some traction. And so that's the next step. We are working with the county as well, which is really exciting. And the county has a new sustainability officer that started in the fall. They're working on their own sustainability goals. And so part of this is also figure out how can we, as we're each developing our goals, start coming together and figure out where there's synergy and collaboration that we can do.
Dr. Rajaee, just another minute or so before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to know about the work that's being done by this group at Oakland University to put forth the university's sustainability plan, the partnership with Oakland County, or even if people want to participate or want to learn more information about the process that's being undergone at Oakland University, how they can get involved?
Yeah, that's I think what's really exciting about this is I think this is something that a lot of people care about. Our students care about it, our faculty, our staff care about it, the residents of Oakland County care about it. And so it's exciting to have this come together. And I hope that all people get involved, both at the county level and with OU. We're a regional institution and we expect collaboration. And so I hope that people do. There is a website that's forthcoming. So if you look on the OU website, just search sustainability, maybe a week from now, you'll see it. That should be up and provide more information. I think what's important to me, I think to also get across is sometimes this stuff is a little like, what are we doing? It's a little amorphous. And it's like, it often asks us to make changes now that maybe are different. But oftentimes they pay off in the long run. And it's thinking in this kind of longer term and sometimes circular frame of saying, how do we think about this holistically of what the impacts are? This is something that's going to position us well as a county, as a university, in terms of economics and social, environmental health, well-being. And so I hope that people can get involved and support it.
Dr. Rajaee, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.